We are in the middle of a year of values, living our values. And each month we have a main value, and then each week we have 3 more that I suggest that you live through in the coming week. But actually, you can choose any one you want. The idea is simply to focus on, this week I'm going to focus on love, or this week I'm going to focus on forgiveness, or trustworthiness is one of our values is this week. And then it's really nice if you report on it back to me, and then maybe I'll ask you to share a little bit from the pulpit. But as you know from the song, we're all just friends, so you don't have to worry about that or be nervous. Anyway, our value for June is accountability. Accountability to me means we are answerable to one another. We stand tall like the mountain in that photograph. We stand tall and take responsibility for our actions. This value of accountability is really a value that needs relationship in order to be activated. It's that we are accountable to someone. We're accountable to our family. We are accountable to our community. We are accountable to our office. We are accountable in the groups in which we express. And when we are accountable, when we are answerable, when we say we're going to do something and then we do it, what happens is we foster trust and connection, and we have an opportunity to actually achieve the mutual goals that we establish for ourselves. And if we live in that accountability, all of us together, and we foster trust over time, then something even more wonderful happens, and we fall in love with each other. We fall in love, and we have compassion for each other's difficulties in life, and we have encouragement for one another, and then we have flexibility when someone doesn't live up to exactly what their dreams are for themselves. So when we practice accountability, it's not that we all the time are successful. It's not that all the time we are our highest self, even though we try to be. When we are accountable to one another, there are times when we get to say, oh boy, I really screwed that up. The sound kind of got screwed up today. And I want to acknowledge that. So when we are used to trusting each other, when we're used to being accountable to one another, when we screw up, there is this wonderful soft place that we all find ourselves. It's safe. It's a safe place for us to practice our life lessons because we know each other's hearts are pure. Does that make sense to you? That we're not always going to please one another. And when we act in less than the stellar ways that we want to, if we have enough trust, and if we have been accountable long enough, we move through that really, really easily, because we have history with one another, and easy forgiveness follows when accountability and trust has been established. So healthy groups are a wonderful, wonderful place to learn life skills. And so the title of the talk today is Our Community as a Workshop for Life. So I love this photo up here because it is our folks at a workshop where they were laughing hysterically, yes, with their heads in the middle, and everybody was kind of getting high on each other's laughter. I love this sweet photo, and I love this altar that was done by Galia today. So Galia wrote, sometimes the altar goddesses write me an email about what they mean. So I just want to read you a couple of sentences from Dear Galia. What I came up with is this: an effective workshop and a supportive community encourages my gifts and talents, helps me grow stronger and more confident. Isn't that the truth? Surrounded by supportive community, I am more likely to give birth to my dreams and visions. A loving spiritual community truly is the wind beneath my wings. And so in this beautiful altar, which always has candles and flowers when Galia does it, what I got is that each one of those flowers is beautiful all on their own, But when they're together in the community of a bouquet, they're even more beautiful. And that's like all of us. You know, we're all individually glorious, but somehow looking out at all of you today, you are additionally beautiful because you are together with one another. So in our community, we have each other. And actually, you know, I'm on the ministers listserv, and I'm on a national ministers council, and so I do get to hear about some of the challenges of other spiritual communities, and I want to just express my gratitude today because we are a stable, pretty much happy and well-behaved community. You know, we are not in the middle of any crisis whatsoever. And that is really an amazing environment in which to focus on the values of today, to focus on accountability and trust so that we may grow ever deeper together. Because I kind of know that all of us here have good hearts and good intentions. And it's also reasonable to assume that we're all doing our own work because the classes fill up and we have people that move through the classes, and the classes all have to do with spiritual life skills, and people always apply them to their own lives. And so if there are any unskilled places, and I know I have unskilled places left, so I imagine you do too, but we're addressing them. We are looking at that aspect of our lives, and those are being addressed. So it's easy for us to be able to say to each other, I see you for the miracle that you are and the miracle that you are becoming. So just to see if I'm right, how many of you have learned a life lesson here? Look at that! It's working. It's all working. This is wonderful. Absolutely great. So, under the umbrella of accountability, these are the values that we're working with today. The first one being trustworthiness. When we are trustworthy, we are accountable to one another, and we foster that wonderful community feel. The next one is supportiveness, because when we are together, we support one another. And then finally, the value that I chose for today is empowerment. And that even goes beyond supportiveness. That is seeing each other for even greater than we are in this moment. So these are the perfect values to practice in groups. And I hope that you take these values and think about how you can apply them in your family and in your work and in your other social groups. Because you know what? If we all did those things, just those, trustworthiness, supportiveness, and empowerment, if we all did those, we would create peace on earth in our world here. And you know what? We are peace on earth is more probable when healthy groups like ours go deeper and deeper and deeper into loving one another. That is what, and then we welcome in diverse people that don't look just like us, and then we include them in our trustworthiness, we include them in our accountability, and we create world peace on a small scale, and that's what expands into world peace on a larger scale. Okay, you with me on that? Yay. So the photographs today are one more week of Scotland, because I just didn't have enough time last week to tell you all the stories that I wanted to tell you. And besides, people came up to me today and said, welcome back. And so we had a retrospective of Scotland last week, but we're going to have a few more pictures this week. So here's the lesson. In life, we all want to feel a few things. We want to feel in that felt sense encouraged by the values that, remember, the values are trustworthiness, supportiveness, and empowerment. So we all want to feel, primarily, we want to feel safe. So this dissolve is a photograph of a statue of families looking out to sea. It's on the coast of Scotland. And there are actually 3 of these kinds of statues with very specific family members looking out to sea for their loved ones who actually did not stay safe. They were, they died in a storm, of course, they're still safe in God because everybody is always someplace in God, whether you're in your body or when you transition out of your body. But this is such a poignant story because history, human history, is really about being physically safe enough to make the next generation. And many, many, many of our ancestors found it not safe enough to do that. And so just one more nod, as I love to do, to the ancestors. This is the north. That's the direction of the ancestors. And your most recently departed ancestors are looking at you right now. Their parents beyond them, their parents beyond them, their parents beyond them. And one of the scientific findings in the last couple of weeks is that human history probably goes back not 100,000 years, but 300,000 years. So we've got lots and lots of ancestors smiling at us and saying, you know, do it better than we did. Do it better than we did. Do it better than we did. Even though they did it well enough that we're all here. So in this community, when we say safe, when we say that word safe, physically safe, it doesn't ring exactly as important because, you know, if our food is clean, that we feed you after the service, and if when we put the chairs away we don't hit you in the head, then physically we're pretty safe in this community. We don't do dangerous things. But what I want to talk about is emotionally and spiritually safe. Because we feel pretty safe right now because there's no crisis going on and we're a stable community and we know each other. But the best way for us to remain safe and to enhance our emotional and spiritual safety is to be self-aware. And by that I mean we know where the lessons that we have learned and we know the lessons that we have not learned yet. Because it is those lessons, those life lessons that we have not learned yet where we become reactive and not safe. For example, a long lesson for me has been to be skillful in having conversations with people that are not pleasant for them. That I have to give them some bad news, or I have to give them a criticism. That's hard for me because in my makeup, I love to be loved, and so I don't want them mad at me if I have to tell them something that they don't want to hear. This is an ongoing lesson, and I'm better at it, but I'm not perfect at it. And so I'm aware of that, and a lot of you are aware of that too. Any of us who have done leadership together know that this is an ongoing lesson of mine that I work with. And if I have these kinds of lessons, I betcha others in this room do as well. And what happens when we have an unhealed place in us is that that button can be activated and we go into this harmful loop where we overreact, we project, we raise our voice, we lie, we are not forthright. In some way, we forget our own divinity and the divinity of the person that is in front of us. That's what happens when our buttons are activated and we get unsafe. Does this make sense to you? Yeah, you've been on the receiving end of that, and I betcha you've done your share, because I have. So we can pray into this. This is where the psychological and spiritual health of all of us come together with our practitioners. You can go over to these practitioners today and you can say, I want to pray that I am more self-aware of my small self, of my reactive self. I want to catch that before I go into the reactive loop. That is a wonderful thing to pray for, because the answer to that prayer is spiritual, emotional, and psychological well-being. And when we are all of those things, we are safe. And don't we all want to be safe places for each other? Don't we want, if we have some trouble, don't we want others to be a safe place for us? Absolutely. For the most part, we are, but as we are aware of this ongoing lesson, we can do it even better. So when we work at this, we become divinely trustworthy. And when we are trustworthy, we are safe. And healing into this is absolutely thrilling. It is, you know, they say that if you have an impression of someone, it takes something like 27 times of them doing something different before you change your mind about them. That's why ongoingly we must be accountable to one another and trustworthy. Because I have changed my opinion about people as they grow into themselves. And I hope other people have changed their opinion about me. So this is how we all become accountable even deeper to each other in a spiritual community. All right? All right. In addition to feeling safe, we want to feel supported. We want to feel supported, and being supported means that you are really seen for who you are. Nobody makes projections on you and thinks you're something else. They see you. You are absolutely received as who you are, the miracle that you are, and you are encouraged to be that. You are encouraged to be that. It's like when Janet introduced Posey today. Posey is an amazing singer and entertainer, and Janet saw her that way and deepened that. That's what we do for each other. So what a gift it is to be seen for who we are. And actually, it takes time to do this and kind of climbing out of yourself, kind of climbing out of, you know, what do they think of me, to, wow, how can I encourage that one to be even more of the miracle that he is or she is? So I have a little story about this, and this is a photograph from from Dunfermline in Scotland, and this is me in front of a storefront that is entitled Pagan Inspired. So I thought I knew what this was. I thought I knew, I mean, I had my picture taken out in front of this before I went in, but I thought, here we are in the Highlands of Scotland, and I'm going to go in there and I'm going to get a Celtic goddess. I'm going to get, you know, a wrap that makes me look like a Celtic goddess. I'm going to do something in there that's very pagan. So I walked in to this little place, and so this is what, I mean, I walked in, and on this side was sort of an empty cafe. You know, you could get coffee and croissants, and nobody was doing that. On this wall were tanks of tropical fish that you could purchase. So here we have Pagan Inspired on the outside sign. We have a empty cafe here. We have tropical fish here. And in the middle was a receptionist who took you in if you were going to have a tattoo in the back. So I had to rearrange my thought about what this place was. And, you know, I actually saw it for what it was. I thought it was something. Then I knew it was not that thing whatsoever. And I would have supported them. I would have, like, bought a cup of coffee if there was anybody in the cafe to help me. But mostly they were tattooed people wanting to tattoo me. And so I left. But back to being supported. To support others, we have to get out of ourselves and observe one another and look with curiosity into the miraculous combination of traits and sets of skills and dreams and learning points of each other. And in this community, one of the ways that we try to do that is that we try to match volunteer jobs with skills, just like we have Posey sing. And so we have, I'm just little parenthesis advertisement here. We have a new events team that is growing, and if you want to be in charge of anything regarding events like taking money or doing decoration or planning food or anything, you can see Suzanne Dubois right over here. And you can see Scott Murchison right over here. We are looking into developing leaders in that area. We also are looking for someone who likes to do marketing on social media and knows how to do that. We would love that. And we are also open for our treasurer, who we still don't have that position filled. So any of those interest you, come and see me. So this is really a wonderful system that we practice here. We let people do what they love. I mean, the guys that do the tech, they love that. Don't you, Ron? Don't you love? Yeah. And Dana, don't you love the sound, when it works? Yeah. And Jim has set up for 20 years here. Yep. So how would it be in every single family, in every single office, if they came to you and they said, what do you love to do? Let's find a place for you to do that. It's possible. And we're practicing it here. And let me tell you, if you are in a volunteer position that you don't like, talk to me or talk to your leader and get out of it. That's one of the things that we do regularly. And I just want to say about Jerry. Jerry did the tape table for 100 years. And he's done. And so we said, thank you for your 100 years, and don't you get behind that table again. Let's have some love for Jerry. And so lastly, we want to be, come on. Yeah. What? We want to be, oh, come on, you. Empowered is the word that I want to see come up there. Yeah. So this dissolve is a story about Rosalind Chapel. So, but first I want to talk a little bit just about that word empowered, because empowered goes beyond supported. Empowered is looking at somebody and saying to yourself, I see them being more magnificent, more concentrated in their skill set than they are, and I am here to support them in doing that in miraculous and wonderful ways that will be that will serve many, many people for a long time. So this story, the Rosalind Chapel is outside of Edinburgh, and it's a chapel that was built in the 1400s. And every inch of the inside of it is decorated with symbols, from pagan symbols, Christian symbols, historic symbols. And there's two great pillars that are on either side of the altar. This one is the Master Mason's pillar. And the Master Mason was the person that was in charge of building the entire chapel. So the Master Mason had a vision for that pillar and made it. And then he had a vision for this other pillar, and he went on a journey to become even more inspired for that next pillar. And he put the apprentice in charge of the construction while he was gone. And he was gone for a few weeks. The apprentice had a dream in which he saw how to do this spiral pillar and did it. So the master builder came back and was shocked at the empowerment of the apprentice. Actually, he was so shocked he hit him in the head with a hammer, and the apprentice died. But nonetheless, the apprentice was empowered to create this amazing pillar that has stood for hundreds of years. And what is so interesting is that the rest of the, whoever was in charge, that was the master mason's boss, fired him, and then they carved his face into the opposing wall, so forever the master mason got to look at the apprentice's pillar. So we are about empowerment here, going beyond what we think we can do. And what came to me when I was thinking about this were our last two presidents. You know, Gail Durkin was the president for 4 years, or was it 5? 4 or 5 years. And she didn't think she could do it when she started. And now Pat Sandry is our president. And Pat Sandry didn't think she could do it when she started. And both of them are master leaders. And that's because we saw in them what they did not see in themselves at the beginning. So, coming down the home stretch here, I did a wedding yesterday. I did a wedding for a lifelong friend's daughter. Actually, it was Kathy Hearn. Kathy Hearn used to be the president of our entire movement, and her beautiful daughter was married yesterday in Sonoma. And so I was doing the wedding, and I was also planning this Sunday, and I want to read to you some things that I say to a couple who is getting married, who have chosen each other, because it's the same thing that I want to say to you, because we have chosen each other. We have chosen this philosophy of it's done unto you as you believe, and we have chosen each other to do it with. So these are the words that I want to empower you to live from the wedding. By choosing this particular person, or in our case, these particular people, to love and make your life with, you have chosen to make an intimate, safe world in which you both can smooth out all of the rough edges of yourselves and heal any bruises on your souls. You have been unconsciously drawn to exactly the person who has those skills, attributes, frustrating traits, and blessed qualities that you need to be affected by in order to change into the person that your soul wants and needs you to become. This is why we are together. We are together to inspire each other, to heal all of the places that hurt, and to be the best version of ourselves that we can possibly be for ourselves, for our group, and for the world. And so, to conclude, these are the values that we talked about today: being trustworthy, being supportive, and being empowering. These are what will lead us all to world peace. To conclude with just a couple more words from the wedding. This is in the next paragraph to the couple, and I think it applies here too. The sentence is, I encourage you to give yourselves with abandon into this marriage. And for us, I would say, I encourage you to give yourselves with abandon into this community. Love deeply and don't hold back. And believe that in sharing your lives, in complete trust, openness, passion, compassion, and courage, that surprising blessings will pour into the container that is your marriage and into the container that is our community. Thank you, and blessings on all of you. So would the practitioners surround the community for the prayer? So as we turn within and acknowledge that God is present right here, God in its absolute majesty, completeness, perfection, intimacy, and all-encompassing nature. That God is in me, God is in each one of us. And with those invisible connecting threads from heart to heart and hand to hand, we are all connected as the Golden Gate Center for Spiritual Living in this beautiful, beautiful community of like-minded souls. And so it is that I ask each and every one of you to bring to mind the face of one that you love in this community. Someone that is here today or maybe not here today, but someone that you know to be an incarnation of the one life at a very high level. And just say to that sweet person, you can trust me, I support you, and I empower you. And then let another face come before your mind's eye and once again say, you can trust me, I support you, I empower you. And then maybe another one. And this time you say, I trust you. I give myself to be supported by you. And I am open to your empowerment so that I can be the best version of myself possible. This is what spiritual community is. This is what the disciples of Jesus meant when they said, we know each other by how well we love each other. This is the healing of everything that hurts in the world. Loving and trusting one another and allowing ourselves to grow. This is our community. And I place that sweet knowingness into the hands of God right now with great gratitude. And so it is. Amen.